My first real relationship destroyed the little manhood I had. I didn't have any. Besides that, I had a cock and a lot of testosterone, and I was horny. Besides that, I had no manhood. Oh, I know, I was going to the gym. And so she used me, and obviously, and she took everything she could. Like my dad told me when I broke up with her, when she dumped my ass, and went home broken, crying, and he looked at me like this, and he said, "You were a good fuck. Get over it." And I looked at him, and I started bawling more. I was like a bitch, man. I was like really brokenhearted. I wasn't even brokenhearted, that's the truth, man. But I was totally brokenhearted without understanding what a broken heart was. I couldn't stand that fucking bitch after 3 weeks. After a month and a half, I was bored out of my mind. That's the truth. And I wanted to dump her ass. But I got such an identity being with her. She was beautiful. Every guy wanted to bang her. When I would go somewhere, it's like a statement. I became somebody. I wasn't the guy, at the time I wasn't a bodybuilder full on. I was a little bit of bodybuilder. I became big after. So I was the guy with her that gave me an identity. Everybody knew me because they knew her. Everybody knew her because your pretty girls are pretty girls. And I'm the guy with the pretty girl. So I didn't want to dump her because I'm like, well, I'll go back to being nobody. So my attachment was very strong because she defined me. So that's when you know that you got a problem as a man. Yeah, but that was my circumstances. I didn't know anything about myself. I had no direction. I didn't know who I was, where I was going to go, what I wanted to do. I had no interest. I was lost, and I was in a fucking hell called college because that's what it was. And I didn't want to be there, but I didn't know where else to be. So her pussy was my salvation. I'm like, I'm going to bury myself in her cunt and enjoy. So you can enjoy that for so long, a couple of weeks, and then, well, novelty's over. I still like her ass and her pussy, but it's like, it's boring. But now you don't want to lose the advantages that you got by being with that girl. You're that guy. All my friends are like, this is like a gift from God. And I was offended. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a gift from God that I'm dating her. Fuck you, man. I felt like this, right? You become somebody when you're nobody because you're dating that girl. But your manhood is undeveloped. You don't have a sense of self. You don't have a sense of direction. In my particular case, I had no interest in school because some of the cats in school have an interest in school. It's not my case, so I don't want to study. I don't want to study with her. I don't want to fucking study. So you have this delinquent attitude, which is great for her because you're always available to fuck her and give her your energy. But I didn't understand that at the time. She came from communist Romania. So her mindset was totally different than mine. So she's thinking about her career and what she's going to do in 2-3 years and how much money she can make and which career path is going to make her money. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I don't understand. So she's kind of looking at me. I'm like, I don't understand you. But she was polite. She never mentioned it. But energetically, that's what she was like, what's wrong with that guy? I'm like, I don't care about this stuff. And I'm like, why do you care about this? Why aren't you just like in the moment and we just want to get laid, right? And then she was really like taken by what am I going to do and how much money I can make and I want to buy this and I want to buy that and I want to buy this and I don't give a fuck about none of that. Well, obviously I understand today, like, well, I'm an interesting fellow, I'm very charismatic, I'm very dramatic, I can entertain you for fucking hours. And I was horny as fuck. So she enjoyed this, but then it also gets old for her. Like, where is this relationship going? Well, you're 18, so it's not going anywhere, but it's not going anywhere, obviously. So she can't, how could she respect you? And then she's coming into the peak of her beauty. And she's being solicited by all kinds of guys in the city or people that are who I wished I was. Big ass muscles, cool VIPs in the clubs. I wasn't at that point yet. Guys who have Porsches. Like, you're like, well, like, why wouldn't she hang out with that guy who can provide all these things? I don't have money. I don't have a job. You know what I mean? So I thought I was brokenhearted because I was a moron. I wasn't brokenhearted. What was revealed to me was that I'm broken. That I'm not a man. Well, it's true. It's not because she dumped me that I'm not a man. I wasn't a man in the first place. And that was revealed to me. And I took that medicine, I gotta say, I gotta give myself the credit, like a champion. It didn't mean like I was strong and no, I took the medicine And I didn't let it go until I understood what the fuck was wrong with me. I didn't just at that stage when our relationship ended, I started to become like very much into the gym. I had big muscles, and I had a friend who got very upset at me because I was starting to count the number of girls that were down with me. You're like young, right? I'm like, this girl, that girl, that I got this one now in chemistry class, a little fucking Chinese girl with a little flat ass, but she cute. And he got very upset at me because I was just like starting to be like, I don't know, kind of boastful. Not really, you're just young, right? You're dumb. So the point of what I'm trying to say is you don't know who you are. Who are you? And women, you don't understand that they value a man who's strong, has a direction, has a sense of purpose. I didn't understand any of this because I didn't have any. So was I brokenhearted? Not in the least bit. What was revealed to me was I'm not a man. And that was a bitter pill to swallow because I don't know what a man is. What's a man for me? My father, God bless him, succeeded in certain aspects of manhood. He's a reliable man. He's there. He worked hard, took care of his family, took care of his wife's family, did good for himself, served society. All that, yeah, but that's just an aspect of manhood. The other parts, absent. So I'm seeing this. Of course, I take it for granted because I live in it, but it's embedded in me, obviously. But it's like, yeah, but although my mom is Middle Eastern, so she'll behave as if she's respecting you because that's part of the culture. She's not. You can feel it, it's in the energy. And my grandmother, that means my father's, what's it called? Godmother? No, that's not called. Stepmother. What do you call it?
Mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law is also not respecting him. Of course, it's hidden, but I can feel it. I'm like, everybody's taking you for a ride, dude. You're the one who's providing for all these people. And besides the fact that they put food in your plate, right, and act like if you're important, in the energy of the space, you're just the one who brings the money in. You're not in charge. So that's what I see. And my father doesn't talk about stuff like, didn't talk about this stuff. Yeah, because, he just wants to meshi halu, meaning it's like, I don't want any problems. He wants to avoid conflict. So that's what you see. What's my role model? So you turn to TV, Americana. And what do you see on TV? Well, my generation is a generation where gangster rap started to blow up. So this is what you start to see. This is what I took in. Young men from this impoverished situation, from the ghetto, who are coming from the worst environment humanly possible, with drugs and corruption, like a form of oppression that it's a unique form of oppression. We're all slaves, but this is a unique form of oppression, like I explained, and the middle class suburbia is another form of oppression, but this is like a form of extreme oppression. It's very violent, and they're full of drugs and all of this, and you don't understand the culture, you don't understand where they're coming from, you don't understand where they've been, you don't understand the music industry, you don't understand nothing, and you're receiving these icons. Remember, this is pre-internet, so this is 1993. I'm in the middle of suburbia in private school with a tie. And there's my friend D, who's a Haitian fellow with his Walkman. And I'm making fun of him because he's listening to rap. And at the time I was listening to heavy metal shit. And we had this little black and white thing kind of going on. And there was almost the end of the school year. I said, let me listen to your shit. And I put that music on. I remember perfectly. I remember where I was because it was an initiation for me. And it was a Dr. Dre, the introduction to the Chronic album. The introduction is very unique. It's such a particular kind of sound. And I just received the crack cocaine sound right into my nervous system. I listened to it for maybe 10, 12 seconds. I took the headphones off and I looked at it and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I was hooked. I've never taken crack cocaine, but from what I've seen on TV and what I've heard, and from the girls that I knew who were crackheads, like you get addicted to it like instantly. Like that music is crack cocaine. And immediately I turned, because these guys are verbalizing things that I feel but cannot verbalize. I resonated with it like if it was my situation. That's before I'm trying to pretend to be a black dude. He's talking about we're slaves. That's exactly how I feel, and ain't nobody in my environment ever will say we're a slave because we're upper middle class. We have everything. No, I'm a slave. I have the same anger that I'm not allowed to have, because why should I be angry? Because everything is perfect in our world, but I'm fucking angry as fuck, and these guys are coming with the anger. They upset at bitches and they call them bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. That bitch I don't even know what a hoe and a trick is yet, right? But I know exactly what you're saying because you said bitch and I understand the vibe. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. I'm like, yeah, fucking right. You just said that. You're fucking God for me right now. You are everything I want to be. You're telling a girl, because you're like a young teenager and I'm like barely budding yet, and I'm like half ugly, half pretty, and you're like, and then these little girls that are all hot, just like slinging their pussy left and right, like teasing the shit out of all of you, and you're like, you can't make a move because you don't know how to make a move, and you're ugly, and you're just right? And you're upset because now she just fucking rubbed you for like the past 2 recesses. Then she goes to your homeboy here and she's rubbing him. And you're like, you can't really be upset at him because you're like dumb like him. And you're like, fuck you, bitch. And you can't say that because you don't even know how to say fuck yet. I didn't know the word fuck yet. It's not part of my language. But I did adopt it though. And I caught up for lost time. I didn't even know the word fuck. I didn't even know, this is not, you don't even have the vocabulary. So I'm listening to this, I'm like, yo, this is it, man. And these guys are hanging out with girls, and the West Coast vibe is the West Coast vibe, man. It's unbeatable. I'm like, totally with it. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I want the West Coast vibe. Sunny, I'm descended from the Middle East, so it's sunny in the ocean, and here I am in like frozen Canada with snow up to my head, and I have to go pretend it's fun to go outside and freeze my balls. This is West Coast California. We by the beach, down by the sea is where all the ladies see me. I'm like, yeah, exactly. But they don't see me because there's no beach here. I gotta go to a lake, and fucking people jump in a frozen lake and think it's cool and it's good for your health. That's what they doing. I don't want to participate. So I'm getting that West Coast flavor, which I've totally resonate. I'm like, these guys are now, I'm like, because I never identified to the fucking heavy metal assholes with their long hair looking like Axl Rose. I'm like, this guy's weird looking. Like, I'm not going to have a picture of you on my wall. You look like a freak. You look like a girl. I didn't get it. Your music could be great, because eventually I got into it. It's fucking awesome. But you're I don't know how you're white. You're not cool. This is not cool. Your jeans are tight. You look like a fucking bitch. You have like lipstick on and like eyelash stuff, and your like hair is long and it's not curly and it's like permed, and you're like you look like an idiot. But apparently white people find it that you look cool. I didn't resonate at all with it. Zero. And there was very barely any Middle Eastern in pop culture. It's even less than, right? So there comes these dudes who are feeling an anger that I resonate with, coming from an oppression, which was very well communicated in that album. That specific album is so perfectly communicated. It's a masterpiece in that regard. I feel all that violence, and they were girls, and they were the guys, which is kind of like me, but with girls, right? And they're like enjoying the girls, and they're swapping the girls. That means the guys aren't fighting for pussy, which is not the case for us. Like, you just like, it's his turn and my turn, and it's like, and you have to wait your turn. You're like, and they're like, literally they have a song about it. It ain't no fun if the homies can't have some. I'm like, yeah, it ain't no fun if the homie like pass it around. Who cares? Right? But at the time, I don't drink, I don't take drugs. None of that is in my world. So I don't even understand the vibration of it. There's a whole song on that album that talked about munchies. I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. It took me like multiple years. I smoked my first joint in 1998 and I listened to this shit in 1993. It took me, what, 6 years, 5, 6 years. So I'm like, oh, that's what you're talking about. Like, I'm retarded. We're like immigrants in our little immigration bubble and the internet doesn't exist. So you're not exposed to all the corruption and the nonsense. And the people around me are not like the private school people. It's like more or less clean until you discover what's really going on behind the scenes. But it's not like that. So that music for me affected me and these cats became my role models. Athletes have always been my role models since I'm a kid because they're the best. But athletes at the time aren't political. You don't know their lives. It's not like today with social media where Kyle Kuzma, you see every girlfriend he's dating. No, it's like, this is Michael Jordan. You see him in Sports Illustrated. That's it. And Sports Illustrated is polished and you don't understand that Sports Illustrated has a deal with the NBA and ESPN because they're trying to boost the sales of NBA, which is going to make everybody make more money. You don't understand that Michael Jordan is the chosen one by the media. And you don't understand. So you're like, you don't know who Michael Jordan is. But these cats are talking about everyday life. They're talking about bitches. Then you watch a video with Snoop. He's like with gin and juice. He's like in his house with his mom. Well, I don't know if it's probably not his mom. It's an actress, but like that's me, right? So it's like I'm 15, he's 18, or I'm 14 and he's 19, something like this, right? It's like I'm like, oh yeah, you're like now you want to have a party because mom is fucking going, and I'm like and then there's guys and we come in and there's a party. I'm like, yeah, I want to be part of that. I want to have access to that. And then they fucking rock on the flow, bro. Which is a form of freedom, verbal freedom, like I have today. But of course they have, at the time, well, they're doing it on music because they ain't got nothing to say besides nonsense. So they do it on music. So you got the melodic, hypnotic vibe plus the flow, which is just Snoop Dogg, dude. Forget about it, and you're just like hypnotized. Then you come up with a song called Hypnotized. That's 97, that's a little later. This is literally what it is. So you're hypnotized, you're not realizing that you're being fucked up your ass. You don't understand that because you don't understand fuck all. And you need drugs, and this is your drug now. I need that when I walk down the street to make me feel strong and tough. I need this when I go in class and that girl who's playing psychically with everybody and I don't understand what's going on, so I can like repeat the mantra, it ain't no fun, or what's the mantra? Bitches ain't shit, bitches ain't shit, bitches. I need a mantra to kind of hold me steady because I'm weak. Because I'm not a man. So brings us back to the original loop, which was what I was saying, when I went through the grinder with that girl, she revealed to me I'm not a man. And I took that really, really to heart. I'm like, I'm that guy. Like, I'm like, no, this is too much in my face. I can't pretend that I didn't see that. Like so many of my friends or so many other people, I'm like, no. Something's broken and I got to figure it out and I'm not moving on. Like, fuck her, I'm not moving until I figure this out and I fix this, and I didn't even know that I'm trying to fix this, but in my psyche, I'm like, something's wrong. This is not normal that a human being suffers so much pain at that level of agony and is being controlled and manipulated psychically for years after that. Like I'm like her play toy. She wants to call me and wants to have sex with me because sex with me is incredible or it's unique, and I'm like fall into it like a fucking brainwashed creature. I'm like shaking in my bed, possessed by I don't know what. I'm like, I don't know what's fucking going on, but I have no power. And I can't stand her. On top of that, there's people that you really can't stand. It's not I couldn't stand her like this, but I'm like, I have no affinity with her. I don't find her interesting. She's not deep, let's put it this way. Because I didn't meet more deep women throughout after the relationship. I'm like you're just like shallow. You just always want to talk about shallow things, whatever. So I'm like, what's happening to me? My father ain't teaching me. My mom like doesn't care. My friends are all as stupid as me, if not more, because they're not even realizing to each other. I'm seeing my best friend. That's my homeboy. That's my friend. We go to the gym together. We train like psychos. We go clubbing, and I'm seeing him behave with his girlfriend. He's losing his mind. And I'm looking at him like this, and of course you're laughing because It's hilarious to see your friend lose it, right? And you kind of like participate. Okay, let's bring him. We're gonna bring him to the restaurant. He's gonna make a scene because you're bored, right? From the young man who's bored perspective, it's like great. We're gonna have a show, right? We're gonna bring him to the restaurant where his girlfriend just dumped him, and he's gonna like barge in and make a scene, and we're just there in the background, right? Like this is entertainment. But at another level, this is my friend, and I love him, and I'm like, my friend's fucking in agony, and he's lost total control, and he's like one hair short of doing something fucking stupid, which of course I would never let him do. But I can see, I'm like, you're one hair short of like snapping. What the fuck is going on? What power does this creature have over him? Myself included, but with another girl, of course. And it's just not him, it's me, it's him, it's the next dude, it's the other dude. I'm like, what's happening? And nobody's talking about it. Nobody. You don't have an education about that. The so-called manosphere that exists today doesn't exist back then. Even if that doesn't resolve your problem, at least there's a conversation about it. It's not a genuine conversation, in my humble opinion. We do address, certain things are addressed, but we're not really talking about the fact you're insecure, that you're broken, that you're confused. That's very rarely addressed. The deeper psychological work is surface stuff, but nevertheless, still there's a conversation going on. I'm going through all of this, there's no conversation going on. And amongst ourselves, guys are like, well, we're going to go to the gym, we talk about the gym, and once in a blue moon, we'll have a deep talk because, we're guys. Especially at the time, right? You're like hard. Where you're like, I don't know what's going on, dude, I'm really fucked up, man. That's not happening. You don't have any role models. You're on your own. You don't know where to go. And your parents, who are not accustomed to this culture, are seeing you behave. They don't, like they're from a country where everybody's the same person. Maybe the religion is a little different, but in their entourage, they're all Christians. And they're all more, yeah, sure, second, third generation, some from Greece, some from Italy, some are mixed with Syrians, Persians, fine. But at the end of the day, it's like there's a uniformity. And they come here where it's multicultural. They're like, this is not like, I know how, let's say how an Egyptian girl operates because it's a modus operandi. This is like a girl from Romania. This is like, we don't know that, like, I don't know that, that's another thing. Or a French girl, or an English girl, or a Canadian girl. Let's talk about Americana girls. Or a German girl. This is like, well, it's not the same. There's a similarity, but the culture is very different. So they're like, well, but this is your problem. Like, good luck. What you gonna do? That's the question. So in my case, I took this and I stayed with it. And at first I said, I'm gonna devote myself to the gym. So that's what I did. I thought that was the solution. And it was to a certain degree because I became that dude that I wanted to be. And that gave me that edge on that girl again. But that was just muscles. Now by that time she's 20 or 20. So now you're a guy with muscles. Yeah, but there's a guy with the muscles, with the money, who runs shit at the club. That's it, it's over. I'm like, that's not enough. So now I gotta be cool. I gotta go to the clubs and be the man at the club. So now we work our way through the circuit to be like. So I'm doing what I'm exposed to and what the music tells me. Because the hip hop music is we're going to clubs. They didn't do that yet, but it was on the horizon. So now you're trying to become that, and it's a lot of work and a lot of energy to enter into a club when you're a kid. It means you're not 100%. You're not super rich. So immediately everybody knows you got to work the circuit. You got to go consistently because you're not rich yet. You can't afford the 10 bottles, right? So you go and you're like adamant. Then you go to the bouncers. Then you got to work. Then you go to the club. Then you go to the bar. We don't have so much money to buy 2 bottles. So like 1 drink, 2 drink. Then we we drink outside. We get drunk, then go to the club. Because we can't afford buying a $120 or $140 bottle that you're going to share with 6 people that get barely tipsy. It's like, no, we get drunk, then we go, right? So you got to work really hard to get into that space where you start to be the man, quote unquote, and then you get to that status and you're like, well, by the time you get to that status, now there's bigger clubs with richer people and older crowd, because now you're like, right? So you're like, what the fuck? To enjoy it for what it is, that's easy. You get pussy like it's just, you just grab, literally grab the bitch's hand, and pull her in and make her move. It's like a joke. It's so easy. It's ridiculous. But there's no satisfaction. You leave, besides the fact that you're drunk and your friends and you are dumb and you're having a good time and pissing in the mall and acting dumb, just dumb, and this is funny because you're drunk. If you're sober, this is not funny at all. And you're having a good time with your friends being dumb and acting dumb with girls with your friends, like in the music. When you go home, you're sick. You feel like shit, you're empty. And if it's not the fact that you're thinking about tomorrow getting drunk again or getting high, you're depressed. Your life has no meaning, and you're like, look at you. Clearly something that's not manhood. So this is a big conversation. I'm addressing a lot of things. Thanks for listening. And I hope somehow I'm touching sensitive chords or things that it's making you think. But at the end of the day, when you don't have any role models, you take whatever is given to you. And what I didn't understand, and maybe you don't yet, is that what you're seeing, now it's on Instagram and everywhere around you, these are constructions. These are brands meticulously created to sell you an image that you buy so that you consume. I don't want to disrespect the person who's associated to the brand. I have nothing against that. I have nothing to say about that. I'm just saying that's the reality that we may sometimes or very often forget because you want to believe it. This is Michael Jordan. I'm like, yeah, but you don't really know Michael Jordan. This is the brand. It's curated. And the same goes for everything around you. Everybody only shows you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, the brand. Even if the brand is ugly, it's always only an angle. Only the quote-unquote best side. You'll never know the truth. And you buy that. And you think, oh, that's manhood. And I did that. The difference between back in the days and today is just, today is so much more. But it's the same. We had GQ. Man, I buy GQ magazine. You look at the magazines and you look at the guys with their fancy clothes. And I remember being in a flight coming back from Cancun after being traumatized in Cancun because I was a kid and it was spring break and the Americans were there and every fucking American, including a guy who was missing a whole arm, was built as fuck. And all the girls were sluts. I got traumatized, I swear to God. After this, for a couple of years, every girl I'd meet, I'm like, did you ever go to Cancun? If she was saying yes, I was immediately eliminating her. I'm like, I'm not dealing with a girl who's gone to Cancun. I cannot handle that. I got traumatized at the foam party with foam. I'm like, this is horrible. And all I could think about was that my ex-girlfriend could be here with just being a slut. I was just like, I couldn't enjoy myself in any way, shape, or form. Because that's what you see. Right. Anyways, back to what I was saying. There's no difference between today and before except the quantity. So you're looking at magazines, and I was flying from Cancun back home, looking at the GQ magazine, trying to upgrade myself. I got to look G. I got to look like this. I want to look like that. They're selling you perfumes. They're selling you images, and each image, let's say it's Hugo Boss, it's Hugo Boss. It's not just Hugo Boss, a random guy. It's an atmosphere. It's a lifestyle. And I'm like barely making $8 an hour, right? Different time, minimum wage has changed. But this is minimum wage. And if you did a good job selling shit, you make your like 2% commission. Or if you make sure you maybe make $10 an hour if you had a good day. And you're like, cool, I get $10 an hour. Right? You got to buy a Hugo Boss shirt. Of course, I did buy my Hugo Boss shirt. Found a place to buy on sale. Find myself to work in a boutique that had high quality, high end clothing, and I would get 40% off. Right? So you're trying. But all of that stuff is not working out. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it was the same. You look at facades, brands that are selling you a dream, selling you an idea of manhood that you're buying. I'm like, so I need that watch now. I need these shoes. I need that suit so I can be that guy. Because the guy in the magazine, and you don't understand marketing. You don't understand the art and science of fucking picture taking. You don't understand the magazine. You think the magazine is on your side. You think the magazine is Gentleman's Quarterly, is trying to teach you how to be a gentleman. You think that because you're a fucking moron. No, they're trying to sell you shit. And in order to do that, they have to hypnotize you by making you believe that this is the path of the gentleman. And you don't know anything. So translate this in today's society, in today's world. Everybody's now is coming at you from many different angles. It's not necessarily from the GQ magazine. It's from a person, a so-called influencer that you're following. What's he doing? He's selling you a lifestyle. He's selling you a perfectly curated lifestyle. You don't know who that person is, what they're really doing, what they're really thinking. Even if they may be honest, selling you a lifestyle so that you purchase. Now, I have nothing against that, and I'm not saying they're necessarily conning you. I'm saying, well, is that manhood? What is manhood? Do you know what manhood is outside of what you see sold to you? So that's what I was confronted with when I went through that grinding mill. And I made up my mind, although I wasn't totally conscious of it then, but now I know myself. I'm like, oh, I want to know what it is to be a man. Not the man I wish I was, and not a man that's broken, but what am I as a man? These are the things that have been given to me. I'm not 6'4", so I can't be that dude. Neither can I dress like that dude, by the way, because certain outfits are made for certain kinds of body types. Of course, I learned as I became adamant in fashion. I'm like, no, you can't just wear random things because you want to look like that dude. You can't. It has to work with you. So what kind of man am I? What is manhood? And how do I express or live my manhood? And this is something you have to journey towards to discover. You can't copy-paste what you see on the outside. You wish you could. It would make it easier. You can be inspired by men, but that has got nothing to do with you. And the path that it took me on, I'm very grateful I took it. I'm grateful I was guided on it. And what I discovered about myself, well, yeah, I can see certain aspects or qualities that I have in many people. But the way they're combined in me is unique. As I'm 100% sure they're combined in a unique way for you. And unless you find the way it's your design, how it comes together, you're always emulating somebody. Technically, you're fake. And sometimes, well, I'm a profound guy. I think if you've been listening to a couple of my videos, I'm not your average thinker or your average guy. I don't drink whiskey and enjoy going to a 17-star restaurant. I don't fucking care about this shit. I got a girl who brings me food. It's good food, quality food, Sattvic food, it's clean food, it's perfect for shitting. So I'm not attracted to those things that are associated to manhood. But maybe that person is. The question is, what about you? And if you're trying to copy a person, then you don't have space to discover yourself. So what I was trying to say is like, well, when I took that journey of manhood, I had to let go of the surface where most people are living. And it took me into a place of unknown. I'm like, well, what am I? What kind of person? Who am I? Fuck, what kind of person am I? Who am I? And how does that fit in a modern day world, which is, dare I say, 99.9998% superficial? Where does a person who has depth fit in without rejecting the surface world? Because I don't reject it, I enjoy it for what it is. Right? Without being the deep guy. Fuck being the deep guy, right? Which is a fake brand so that you can try to hopefully get some pussy. So that's the question. So this is not to criticize any so-called companies that are presenting their brands or so-called influencers that are selling you their brands. It's to say they're allowed to do whatever they want. And you will be influenced if you don't know who you are. And until you figure that out and take the time to figure it out, all you're doing is trying to copy somebody. And what you're copying is not necessarily even real. So when you discover that LL Cool J, his name is Ladies Love Cool James, okay? Shout out to LL Cool J. But when you discover that LL Cool J is married since he's, 20 or 19, it's kind of changed your perspective, okay? When you discover that the dude called Calvin Brodus, aka Big Snoop Dogg, is married with his high school sweetheart, it's like, wait a minute, but this is Gangsta Snoop. It's like, yeah, but Snoopy is he's a lover boy. So I didn't say that Snoop isn't, I'm saying, well, whatever you think of him is, what? Yeah, what? Like, he's not the guy in the videos. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But he sells you the guy in the video, and you don't necessarily, well, now today it's different, but when he was younger, you don't know, so you try to emulate that. Then you want to go to the clubs because that's what manhood is about. You want to go to the strip joint and hang out with prostitutes. Listen, I've hung out with a lot of prostitutes. I've been friends with a lot of prostitutes. I've been with lots of prostitutes. Prostitutes meaning the pinnacle of what a man believes is a stripper, a sexual worker. Listen, with all due respect, and I love them all, they're like, it's not just the facade, okay? There's a person there and the person is complex. We'll discuss that in a later subject, a later video. If she's doing that, it's not because she's, I'm just trying to keep it nice right now. Right? So it's not what the video says. Where you go there and you like splash your money because you're the man and hit the ass of the girl. Like I've lived all those things. So for a little moment, it's cool just because you're like doing like the video. If you had never seen the video, it would never have dawned on you to do such a thing. But because you've watched the video, and since you're a kid or since God knows, you're like, I want to be that guy. And then suddenly you're doing it. So you're like, you're your friend, you're high-fiving, where you're like putting your like little money in the stripper's pants. You're like, yeah, I'm the man. If it wasn't for the fact that you were fucked up your ass and in your mind with these images that were constructed to make you dumb, you wouldn't think it's cool. And the only thing that's cool about it is that you're quote unquote living your dream. But outside of the fantasy, it's first tasteless. It is absolutely tasteless. You're a fucking idiot to pay money to a prostitute, which shows the height of your lack of manhood. She doesn't give a fuck about you and she laughs at you. It's tasteless. It's the pinnacle of being a loser, in my humble opinion. And here you are, for a moment, you think that you've reached manhood. Go figure. So they're selling you images. And some of these images may have a genuineness to it. I'm not saying no. But it's external to you and you cannot just adopt it because you want to be like the image. You have to find it inside yourself. You need to go inside yourself and find who you are and what you're actually made of and allow this to actually grow. Because the reality of it is that for most of us, it's never grown. You're still a little insecure boy. It doesn't matter that you're big and strong from a genetic point of view. Inside, you're still an insecure little boy looking for mama's love. So I'm talking about that level. I'm not talking about building a facade that fools other people. I don't do that. I tried it. It didn't work out for me. I'm like, that doesn't solve the problem. I don't care if I go to the club and I'm the man and I have all these girls at my disposal. I don't feel like I'm in my power. It doesn't matter that everybody applauds me. I know the truth. That's what sensitivity is about. It doesn't mean you cry like a bitch. It means you're sensitive to what's happening within yourself and in other people around you. You can perceive it. That means you do not get deceived. When a person shows you something, you can see it. It may be pretty, may be ugly, may be dumb, and may be intelligent, but you can perceive something else happening beneath, especially with women. She says something and you can perceive. You don't need to like format your mind to know how to respond to everything like a robot. You can actually feel her, where she's coming from, what she's really saying, what she's really implying. It's a subtle language. It's available to you. But that's a detail. What really matters is how you really feel. And feeling doesn't make you weak. It makes you actually strong because you're honest. Like I said, feeling is not about being emotional because your girlfriend left you. And if you're sad because your girlfriend left you, then be sad. Be sad for a day, an afternoon, a week. Then you have to come back to yourself and say, well, what the fuck happened? Because you need to rectify the situation. You need to fix yourself. Not at the surface. I did the surface thing. Well, great. And if it so happens that your surface is like sublime, like next level surface, and you can fool the whole world, what does it change if deep down inside you're really genuinely insecure? So this is about you. It's not about women. It's not about the men. It's not about society. It's about you. How do you find peace? How could you find peace if you're insecure? To each their own. I'm just saying. I'm just here to make you think about this and making you think that perhaps adopting yet another facade or adding more to your facade is not necessarily the solution, because manhood is not a facade, just like fake tits, fake asses, fake lips, or let's say they're not fake but they're real, doesn't make a woman. A woman is not an ass, even if it's pretty, and I love ass. It's not nice tits, even if nice. That's just the surface. We can enjoy the surface. Hell, we can celebrate the surface for 5 minutes. But that's it. It's 2 minutes. Who cares? Then what? The surface doesn't make a man, and the surface certainly doesn't make a woman. And it's up to you to understand that. And if you want to start to have a decent relationship with yourself and women, you need to start to see or perceive or allow yourself to perceive a little deeper than the fucking surface. And if you want to be, in my humble opinion, the real man, you got to dive deep into the abyss and discover what you're really made of. Going to the gym and lifting weights shows you this much about yourself. I'm not disregarding this. It's still this much. Remember, we live on earth, we're here for some time, and then we die. Who are you? Where do you come from? What happens after you die? What the fuck is the point and purpose of this life? Who is that woman to which I'm totally, completely, quote unquote, dare I say, addicted or attracted to? What is the purpose of a relationship? And how does that all fit in the big context, meaning life, dharma, and society and its crazy agenda? So it's so much simpler to just say at the surface, have nice pictures on Instagram and look like you're the cool guy. And if it works for you and you're the cool guy, congratulations. Even if you're the cool guy, I know that you can listen to me and hear me, because there's got to be more to life than just that, because it's fucking boring. It's boring. And if you've mastered the surface and you think that this is what all life is about and all that's left is greed and accumulating more, then I really, my heart goes out to you, bro. There's got to be more to life than that, and you must be bored out of your mind. There's a whole other realm awaiting you. And in my humble opinion, if you're the man, you got to go into the darkness of wilderness. And the darkness of wilderness today is in the forest, because there's 5G in the forest. There's 5G in the desert. There's 5G everywhere. It's deep in the psyche. And then you got to go find those gems and those jewels and these fruits, bring them together, that knowledge, and create a cohesive, organic person that can function at the surface also and serve people from a meaningful place. Food for thought.